What stood out for you? And I'm going to ask Ayante the same thing. Like, if there was a moment, and we do know that these debates are really just sound bites for social media and, you know, the talk shows and all those different things. What kind of stood out for you and what got your attention?
Well, Brother Jay, can you qualify the question for me?
I'll give an example.
Like, did it like stand out as in the obnoxiousness, or stand out is the you got punked?
Well, like questions
There's a
like
spectrum.
me. I'm wondering how the transgenders are getting surgeries
in prison.
Incarcerated.
In prison.
Like, I'm trying to figure out how the transgenders are getting paid for surgery.
Yeah.
By Kamala.
Yeah.
In prison. Can you help me explain that?
You're talking about the obvious ones, and I think all of them will come up. So I'll just speak out to a few that I noticed. When she said multiple times that he has been classified as a disgrace from the individuals that he has worked with on foreign policy, when Donald Trump spoke about himself in third person, also when she said that he got fired by 80 million people in the last election, that was actually pretty dope. The 6 bankruptcies, and probably when he said, I had nothing to do with that January 6th thing that you're talking about. All of those were like moments for me that I kind of highlighted in my own space. But I probably would say the top one is probably when she literally said by name who has called him a disgrace.
Yeah.
Those that are a part of our military, those that are designed to protect us and uphold our protection and our all of our rights. She called by name the generals and the individuals that have said they have called you a disgrace.
Okay, Ayante,
that's huge.
I gotta ask, what stands out? Did Kamala Harris do a great job? And I think one of the number one kind of comments, Julie Marsala points out, Julie Thomas Marsala, and cats and dogs are being eaten by illegal aliens. Top that, Ayante.
I was disappointed to be a Coloradan during this debate. We have passed monumental things in this state that should put us on the map, such as free meals for children and elementary schools, such as protecting reproductive freedom.
But they did hear you because they heard you through that mic.
Such as Denver Public Schools being the highest minimum wage paying district in the state of Colorado. So we have great things that we're doing, but we were put on the map because of MAGA extremist Republican Councilwoman Danielle Jurinsky lying and becoming Fox News's puppet. I had a Kamala Harris moment right there. Puppet, because she wants an appointment in the Trump administration. Shame on Danielle Jurinsky. Trump utilized this opportunity twice by saying Venezuelan gangs were taking over Aurora, Colorado. That's simply not true. I'm disappointed that Colorado was marketed in such a way. And Danielle Jurinsky, you should tender your resignation by 9 a.m. tomorrow morning for putting Colorado in such a shameful position.
Wow.
Thanks a lot, Danielle.
Jurinsky.
Sarcasm in real time.
All right, Jamie, lean into that mic. Your impressions. What are your impressions? What stands out?
Well, let me say that I have restored my faith in the Democratic Party.
Wow.
That's big, y'all. That's big. This is a big moment.
Party
yes.
About 6 weeks ago because I was so incredibly frustrated with it and was tearing my hair out until Joe Biden was finally convinced to leave. But my issues with the party go back years. I'm a lifelong Democrat, and I'm tired of the rule book that they constantly play with when the other side doesn't play by the rules at all. So Biden going away, us having this exciting candidate that renews my faith in the party, I'm feeling pretty good about things.
In terms of the debate, or if it was a debate also,
Right.
how did the candidates do, and what are your impressions of the 90 minutes we sat through?
Ooh, I think they called a mercy rule. I'm not sure it was a whole 90 minutes, but okay.
He was, as he always is, an idiot. he's an idiot. And she was composed and articulate and was prepared and brought up things in advance that she knew that he was going to bring up, and he addressed them before he did. So I think she did a fabulous job.
Did any of you catch it when I think they were talking about J.D. Vance's position on abortion?
Yeah.
And
that was minute 19.
And DJT, Donald J. Trump, said, I haven't even talked to him.
He said, I ain't do that.
I ain't talked to him.
I ain't talked to him. But he might have talked for me, but I didn't say that. But really, I know he's my vice president, but I didn't talk to him, and we don't even know each other.
To J.D. Vance whatsoever. I don't know why he would say that.
I don't even text him.
Position, and then they hit him with, Mr. President, would you sign a national abortion ban? And he just diverted. The immigrants are taking over America and the country, and Kamala Harris knows that they're eating dogs and cats.
And shout out to ABC for being fact check. That is incorrect. There's nothing to substantiate that. Shout out to ABC for fact checking live. That is an important part of political debate.
It never happens.
It's such an important part of political debate to ensure that we are holding these individuals that are spewing the information that they are spewing, specifically when it comes to lies. They were able to say, you know what, just FYI, that is not correct, and letting the American constituency know that this individual is not offering correct information.
The debate tonight, what are we experiencing? What is this moment?
Trump found out what it was like to deal with someone who has a black job. And he also got to experience a sorority party done Divine Nine style.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the things that, in all seriousness, what happened tonight, Kamala Harris, Madam Vice President, answered a lot of the critiques, unfounded critiques, by the way, about her fitness and readiness, and would she be able to stand up to a bully like Donald Trump?
That's right.
And she put all those concerns to bed. And that's the one takeaway from today, was that she was unafraid, and she went boldly and led in the debate the same way she will lead the country, unafraid and with boldness, and with a great deal of hope and joy, which this country desperately needs.
Wow. Standout moments. There are going to be a lot of talking points coming up and a lot of, commentary. When you watched, what are some of the points or a point that you're saying that's going to absolutely be relevant in people's decisions that might be undecided?
I'll look at it from a couple of different perspectives. I think for those people who were concerned about where she would be on national security, because there was some polling out there that said that people still trusted Donald Trump more on national security. I think every single portion of the debate where she systematically picked apart his national security credentials was very clear. And sometimes, in our community, in the black world, we don't necessarily think about national security issues, but they're very important to us, and they should be, because if something were to pop off, it's our sons and daughters disproportionately who end up going to war on behalf of this country. So we need to be very concerned about national security issues. So that was very important. That happened. For me, as someone who grew up in Southeast DC and grew up and understand bullies, the other portion that happened that's not so much substance but style was that she punched a bully right in the face. And this is one of the things that has not happened since Donald Trump has run for president, all those multiple times, now his third time. No one in the debate has pushed back on him and punched him in the face. And as my mama used to say, and I'm sure most of our mamas used to say, the way you deal with a bully is you punch him in the face. And so stylistically, she punched him in the face time and time again. Prime example, she baited him on audience size, rally size. He got and all he had to do was shut up, right? She baited him. He took the bait, went in heads and toes.
I want to touch on that because you make a great point, and I'm going to come back to it, Jamie, when you're thinking about what you heard, and there was a lot of discussion about women. Did any of that resonate with you as a woman as it relates to, Trump's policy in this whole Roe versus Wade conversation and the woman's body? And, I think even Trump said something outrageous like, there can even be an abortion after birth. I'm like,
It's been.
How do you hold on? No, let's get into this because I'm not a woman. I'm not a woman. Something. Did you hear this man say? Yes. I think there can even be an abortion after birth. I think it would be called something else.
Well, murder.
But I don't know if it would be called an abortion.
No.
I'm not sure. Jamie, the women's conversation, and lean into that mic.
Well, he's also not the most articulate speaker either, you know. He flips and he flops depending on who the audience is and what he knows they want to hear, typically. And he was speaking to his base. He certainly wasn't speaking to a woman like me. He was speaking to women in his base.
Yeah.
And so, you know, as someone that doesn't support those points of view, you know, I basically just, you know, it didn't matter to me, I guess, basically.
It's strange, and I want to ask Khadijah if you could switch with Jamie real quick, because I gotta hear you all's point of view on this debate and what took place, and I'm gonna ask the women this particular question because I may not know. But after you give birth, you're no longer pregnant.
Right.
No, you're a mother.
Okay.
There is a life that
Welcoming to the Free Think Zone, Khadijah Haynes.
Star-studded, y'all. It is star-studded in here.
What happens? What happens? Like, you're pregnant, but then when you give birth, there's like this.
That's a life.
Like, what's going on? What did you hear, and what were your thoughts on the debate tonight?
Oh, you know, I sort of went back to my childhood. I kept trying to not chant, liar, liar, pants on fire. Liar, liar,
pants on fire. Come on.
I want to bring out the jump rope and do the whole thing because that's what he was. You know, he had lost his mind. We need to gas up our car, okay, and go in the car searching for his mind because it's lost. We need to drive around and see if we can find it.
We can't find it.
No,
it's
not
gone
to be found.
It's gone. It's gone.
How did, and Khadijah, you've been watching these politics and how this plays out, and it was real interesting to hear how the Honorable Terrence Carroll talked about Kamala baiting Donald Trump.
Indeed.
Like, because she's a prosecutor, she knows the law, and and by the way, congratulations on your appointment as the head of the Sam Carey Bar Association.
All right.
I want to definitely say that. But there was some
legendary.
baiting. Like, she walked him right into it. Started talking about crowd sizes, and people walk out of your, people be walking out your rallies, and he was like, "What?" He forgot everything. But, he was like, first of all,
punctuation,
you
grammar.
pay people to come to your rallies, and no one ever walks out of my rally. I'm like, did he just walk into that?
He like this. Like, he walked in like this.
But
like this.
Khadijah, my point walking in was, it was Kamala's debate to lose.
It was.
And she did not lose that debate. In fact, she was stellar. How was her performance tonight?
Incredible. I think that there isn't a black woman in America today who didn't go. Because we speak silently sometimes.
Nonverbals.
We go like this.
Nonverbals.
And she did. But I have to say she was excellent. And that's what we teach our black children to be. I know you do that with your children. You do that with community. So do you, Medin. It is in us to be excellent. And she showed us excellence.
And in a brilliant way. Like, not only did she show us the excellence, but she showed us the excellence with the audacity, with the strength, with the you don't get it, but I'm showing it to you anyway. Like, that's the part that I love. There is a condition that comes with being able to be the legacy of the resilience of women that have come before us. And that's the excellence. that's something that, because no other class of people, black women in particular, have had to endure, there's an excellence that comes with that nobody else gets to touch. And so in those quiet moments alone of our mothers, of our grandmothers, of our aunties, of our older sisters, right? There's those quiet moments alone that you get taught something that nobody else gets to touch. Right. You get these conversations of, let me tell you a story, young girl. And you get to listen and learn and understand. And that's just a moment between one black woman to another. And honestly, it happens in the womb. It happens in the womb because as you are crafting and birthing a beautiful little girl, there's something that is special that is connected before there's even a word that is spoken. And that is what we saw tonight. And so many people are not going to understand, how did she do that? Because Donald Trump has been in more debates than any other presidential candidate in this country, in history. And Kamala Harris, in a matter of 7 minutes, chopped that man down in a way where Donald Trump was gasping for air. And he, I believe, the first thing that he brought under the desperate plea was his assassination attempt. He brought that up in such a small proximity. I thought that was going to come in his closing speech. But he brought that up, and she got it out of him like that. When she looked over and put her hand on her chin on her hand without having to rest it on a table, she is resting it on the ancestors and on the conversations that came that nobody understands.
Well, yeah.
Those are the parts that nobody can connect with but a black woman. And y'all, sis, all the sisters out there, I love y'all. I am with y'all, and I understand exactly what happened tonight and what we were able to see. Black women, infinity. Everybody else, zero. We are undefeated.
I mean, that's what made the whole thing so powerful, is that she was authentic throughout the entire thing. She was completely authentic, and people identified with this. Authentic in who she is, authentic in all aspects of who she is. And that's what Medine's picking up on. And so while she spoke to black women specifically, and then black folks more generally, but her authenticity allowed her to speak beyond the black community to the larger American experience. And that's what made this thing exceptionally powerful.
There was a couple of moments that I want you guys to touch on for just a moment, because Kamala Harris was able to do something that Ayante absolutely has not mastered yet. Absolutely. I'm like,
how the hell
when you sit amongst the elders, you're going to learn something. Because there was a point in that debate when she said, I want to tell you about this motherfucking right here. But she didn't say it. I know what she was saying. But that pregnant pause was like, I bet not say this, but I got something to say. Did you see it, Ayante?
I did see it.
It didn't come out, but it came out.
When she said this former president, I said, oh shit. that pinky almost went up.
And I don't think he caught it.
No, he didn't. He didn't catch it.
He was still oblivious. Did y'all see him? He was still just sitting there. I'm like, dude, she just cut you in like 18 different ways.
No, he didn't catch it at all.
He really didn't, and it wasn't so much a pregnant pause as it was her calling on the ancestors for decorum. She just said, please don't let me say it on live TV. And she needed to breathe into it for a moment.
I said, let me get up.
On. No, he didn't realize that we were no longer playing white Uno. We were playing black Uno.
That's right.
We were stacking the draw fours and draw twos.
Yeah.
He missed that.
He's like,
pick up 10, bitch.
They was doing spades. It was like, which one did you say was the big joker again? It was like, nah, it went deep. There was another thing that she did, Ayante. Did you catch it when she said, well, now since you're talking criminals.
Yeah.
I said,
yeah.
Did she? Oh,
Yeah,
did you like it? I didn't know how it was going to get in, but she brought that in just beautifully.
Everything that Donald Trump complains about, she was able to figure out a way just to slip it in the least. Like, I wasn't expecting most of the stuff that she was slipping in. Like, did I think that she was going to bring up crowd sizes in Hannibal Lecter tonight? Nope, that wasn't on my bingo card. That was all on Trump. That was the red square. It said Hannibal Lecter, red square, Trump. I didn't expect her to bring it up, but she kept doing it, and he kept taking the bait. But then the other thing that I just didn't understand was, well, I understood it. He thought the immigration issue was going to be his like saving grace against her. And every time he would be like, they'd say, Mr. Trump, what's your favorite candy? Illegal immigrants are coming across the border. And then he would expect her to be like, all right, he would expect her to take his bait and respond. She just smile. She said, that's not true. And she keep it going.
I mean, her facial expressions throughout spoke volumes. And Terrence, they're talking crime. They're talking all these illegals and all of this criminal behavior. Did she come right at him and be like, well, since we talking like criminal behavior, let's talk about these felonies and these sexual payouts and all that. How would you gauge how she slid that in on him?
That was brilliant. And it showed that she did her homework and prepped very well for the debate. She knew that this dude, this MFer, as she might have been thinking, this dude was going to bring up this Biden crime family thing, because that's what he talks about. You know what he's going to talk about based on his rallies, or that no one goes to, apparently. So she knew it was going to come, and she waited, and she showed patience. And then when time was right, she struck. She showed so much discipline, and she knew who she was dealing with.
Yep.
And litigators and prosecutors, one of the things they always tell you, you always have to know your opponent's arguments better than they do. And she showed that.
Wow.
Well, now
how did she do, Khadijah? Like, and she just rallied it down. Like, since we talking about criminals, like, I'm talking to one.
I think I liken it to the Anschutz Medical Center, where she said, "Oh, scalpel," and she just cut him. She cut him so bad he didn't even know he was cut.
Colorado is not going to turn for Donald Trump. It is not going to happen. There ain't no I don't knows. People done moved in. Colorado was with Bernie. Bernie is so far over there that the pendulum has not swung anywhere near Trump. And in Colorado, the Republicans can't win any statewide position. That's why they're going after city council seats, dog catcher seats, school board seats, and all the different things. But they can't get the governor's seat. They can't get the attorney general. They can't get the treasurer. They can't get the secretary of state. And Donald J. Trump is not going to get Colorado. And so in this room, Terrence, are we missing out on those states that maybe the Democrats are going to struggle to get? It's not just a shut and dry case in terms of how we see it in Colorado. What is happening around the country, and how does Kamala Harris become the president of the United States of America in the face of those states that aren't like we are?
Yeah, we are spoiled here in Colorado because, we are become pretty solidly blue. And I remember when I first got elected to office, got sworn in 2003, I was in the minority, both racially and in my party. The Democrats were not in charge. And so we've gotten spoiled here because over the space of several years, we've become really blue. But around the country, this race is really going to swing on 7 states at the end of the day. The 7 battleground states, Michigan and Ohio, and not Ohio, Michigan and Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Nevada, Arizona. Some people say Florida's now in play. I said North Carolina, right? I said North Carolina. I don't think I got them all, but those are states that matter. The polling will tell you, and I hate referencing polling because polling has some structural issues nowadays that they're not catching some things, but But even if you take the polling in its current state, Kamala Harris has made some tremendous gains over the last 2 months that she's been the nominee. And so the fact that we could be even, if not ahead, in some of these states is remarkable. But those are states where she's still going to have to work hard. And this is how you know there was an issue, especially in Pennsylvania, which is going to be is a close state from what we hear, is that Donald Trump kept trying to bring up fracking. And those people who know anything about Pennsylvania know that Pennsylvania is a oil and gas producing state, and a natural gas producing state. And so for them, fracking is an important issue in terms of the economic viability of so many people in that state. And so for those of us who live in places like Colorado, if you have the means, if you have the resources, if you have the time, it actually may not be a bad idea for you to go somewhere else, vote here before you leave, get your mail ballot, turn your mail ballot in, do what you got to do. But go somewhere like North Carolina, go somewhere like Pennsylvania, go somewhere like Michigan, and go knock on some doors. Because this is really going to come down to who can get people out to vote in those particular states.
That's the reality. Jasmine, right?
Yes.
Jasmine, we want to hear from the youth. And so I know we're going, well, I'm 1,000. So anybody walk through the door is youth to me. Jasmine, what is the feel that you're getting out here as you're talking and you're around and you've been around the political climate? Are you seeing a bounce towards the Kamala campaign? And then do you have concerns about what's happening around the country outside of our Democratic bubble, Democratic Party favoring bubble?
Yeah, I mean, I think kind of piggybacking off of Terrence, I mean, I even bring it back to the Bill Ritter campaign way back when. But I also think, though, that young black men are not supporting her fully as they should be. I think that's a problem.
And we got a young black man we're going to talk to in a second because we want to hear your voice about this as well. But go ahead, please.
No, I think that's a little bit of an issue. But I think, just a recap on the debate, I think she came out swinging. I think she prepped well. It was, like they say, it was prosecutor against criminal. I think she knew what she needed to do was bring her voice forward, even though they tried to attack her on the Biden/Harris administration. Like they said, Trump was running against, Kamala, not Biden. And so I think she really attacked there. But I think that in the swing state, she needs to kind of do a little bit more work. And I want to be interested in feeling out as to why the black men don't support her like black women do. I think that's an interesting topic. So.
I think it's a very interesting topic, and I think it's something we have to dig into. But then I've also been running into some black women that are kind of like, like, and I don't know if it's like, to be honest, when President Obama became president, he had a whole bunch of white support before black folks jumped on the bus. Like, black folks got on that bus a lot later. We were on the bus in advance with Jesse Jackson and, some other candidates, even Al Sharpton when he was running and all those different things, when we were really like, but we know they're not going to win, but they're doing a really great job and we feel proud. When President Obama ran for president the first time, I remember being introduced to him by a slew of white folks that was hip to Obama long before our community was. And it was white folks that really even knew he was going to win. And so thinking of that, and black women who are fired up about Kamala, they really are they're generally highly involved political types. You know what I mean? But the average one has this same kind of like, I don't know. And I'm like, but who are you going to vote for then? And they're like, and I'm like, so are you not going to vote? And black men, particularly, a lot of them, Jasmine, what I hear from them is kind of like all the stuff. And so is it a matter, Jasmine, of us as our level of support and solidarity in those fissures are showing themselves, or are we really waiting to make our decision after everything is perfect and the water is perfectly well for us to jump in? What's happening with us, I think, is the question.
That's a tough question. I think we're waiting, but I don't know why there's a wait.
Exactly.
Like that's a question. I don't know why there's a wait. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm gonna kind of refer back to the great Karen Hunter, who's on Urban View on Sirius XM, and she just did a whole thing about this. And I actually just had a whole argument with a white friend of mine about what black men are up to. And my comment to them was that part of it is somewhat true, but it's mostly media manufactured. When you think about what we hear every single election cycle, black men are used as a scapegoat for the fears of white folks. So you hear white folks saying, well, what about black men? What about black men? But every time black men have an opportunity to vote, black men are overwhelmingly voting for folks like Stacey Abrams. They're voting for folks like Barack Obama. And I think they'll eventually vote for Kamala Harris. And we have numbers to back this up, actually. I'm not even talking about polling. I'm talking about exit data. Anytime we have a race where there's a black person running or a Democrat running, and black men could be significant. So they said black men caused Stacey Abrams to lose. Turns out that was not true at all in Georgia. And either time
that was the narrative? That black
narrative.
Men didn't show up?
Right. That's the narrative. Black men showed up, and 84% of them voted for Stacey Abrams. You know who was else on the ballot at the same time? Reverend Senator Raphael Warnock, I should say my Morehouse brother. The percentage of black men that voted for Raphael Warnock, 87%. And so there was no appreciable difference between how black men voted or their turnout for Abrams or Raphael Warnock. And then if we come down to these midterm races that we've had, school board races where we could have an appreciable number of black men who could vote, same numbers. So black men have not abandoned the Democratic Party or progressive candidates. And of course there are going to be some black men, some black women who are going to just go off and do some crazy. They're just going to do things. And Harriet Tubman talked about them when she said, why couldn't you get more people? She said, some people just don't want to be saved. And so
and some need to be shot.
I'm not going to go there.
Did shoot him.
No, really, she did shoot some folks.
She did. But some people just don't want to be
said what she said.
She said.
And we also have to remember in this age of social media, there's some phrases out there I'm still learning about. Edgelording. People just say stuff to get clout, to chase clout.
It's called egg sorting?
Edgelording. They just say stuff just to get clout, just so people will pay attention to them. And the sample size, a lot of times they're using some of this polling data for black men and black women. You got a poll size of 500 people. You only poll 6 black folks. So if one of those 6 black folks say they're going to do something crazy, it skews the whole thing. So people all of a sudden start thinking that all the black folks have lost their minds. It's not true.
But what are you seeing, Jasmine? Like even in the conversations you're having, not the polls, but just kind of as you are around and about and you're talking, what's the feel that you're getting?
I mean, I think the feel that I'm getting is young people are fired up and ready to go. Some of them do not vote, but I think me as being a young generation, young person, right? You have to, youngish, right? You have to, keep on talking to them, keep on them, telling them to do their own research, to get out there, knock on doors, to get out there, do phone banking, and not really get your information from, you get your information from media outlets, but kind of do your own homework. And really push out the vote, like I said, whether it be door knocking or phone banking or, kind of doing your part. Like Michelle Obama said, do something.